All right, thank you everyone for joining. Once again, welcome. This is Thinkficial Engineering Network. It's a software company. We deal with web development. You want to learn the course in technology from web development to data analysis, programming, system engineering, and all part of tech, AI, LLM systems, agents. You want to learn about AI systems and then you want to build solutions or you want to consult on IT. Thinkfisher is one of those best places you can do that, whether on site or remotely. Today, I will be hosting on behalf of the host, Mrs. Mary Rose Asogwa. She's not on the call today, so I'll be doing the host for the event. And then today, we're going to be talking about an interesting topic. Like we all know, every month we gather here by the end of the last Saturday of the month by 7 p.m. to discuss an interesting topic. You want to share this link to your friends, whatever they are doing, whether they're in health, they're in technology, they're in finance, they're in security, whatever part of life they are in. Today's topic is quite broad and it's quite it involves everyone who is actually using, whether you're using a mobile phone or you're using a laptop or whatever you're using, and that's how the whole call will be. So I will give you just a moment, maybe wherever you are, just quickly give a thumbs up or just put in a chat box where are you joining us from before we start. We just want to hear from you. Where are you joining us from? Just go ahead, use the chat box. Let's see where you are joining us from. Oh, Niger say thank you. Um, all right, Abuja. Okay, our host is based in Abuja. Thank you. Oh, aha. So I'm seeing some engineers on the call. Engineer Donald, well done. He's also from Abuja. Okay, someone is joining us from Sweden. That's beautiful. Thank you for joining us from Sweden. All right, who else? Let's hear from you, please. Where are you joining us from? Just one more minute. One more minute. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Donald. Thank you, Peculiar. Thank you, Gerard from Abuja. Okay, I think we have like someone who is not even in the country. That's good. And then probably when we have some time during the ending, we can just do like an introduction. But for now, I'm going to go straight into the business of the day. With us today, we have engineer Otobong Peter. He's a systems and product engineer focused on building intelligent systems that connect people, code, and capital across health, finance, and work. He started programming in 2014 with C++, and he began working professional in 2019 after starting out in hardware with microcontrollers and IoT systems. That early experience shaped his interest in systems level thinking. His undergraduate research focused on facial recognition, door lock, combining embedded systems and AI. You see, he's been in AI for a long time. His experience spans distributed systems, AI applications, and blockchain infrastructure. He led the Google Developer Student at Rivers State University, co-founded ABCD Africa to onboard blockchain in Nigeria. And he previously worked as a senior software engineer at LTO Network, where he engineered and owned Onables digital assets with embedded smart contract and worked on decentralized identity systems such as EQTY Passport. He also contributed to infrastructure improvements and the migration of core assets to base L2. Can you give a round of applause with your favorite emoji icon? He's currently building platforms like CoolerWise and Lemon Support, applying AI to real-world coordination across health and business operations. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we make welcome Engineer Peter Otobong. Please, you have the floor. Please, can we clap for him, clap for him, clap for him. Senior Engineer, over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you so much, everyone. It's really a privilege and an honor to be here. Thank you very much, Mr. Raphael, Engineer Raphael Alemo Baja, and thank you so much for having me here on Thinkficial. It's a great privilege. I mean, I've tried all I can to avoid speaking for quite a while now. I told myself I just want to be very deep in the building era, or to be like in that building phase where I'm just experimenting, building, and really really focused on learning. But when you shared this, I mean, it's an area I've been really interested in. And so the first interest that came to my mind was not really about the fact that I have so much to share. It was more so about the fact that being here is going to afford me the opportunity to really see others on the call who are also in this same line. And so it would also be a great opportunity to not just share what I know, but also to learn. So without further ado, my name is Peter Otobong. I am software engineer, been active across different technologies. So sometimes when people ask me, what do you do? Are you a full stack software engineer? What exactly do you do? I just tell them that I'm very interested in building software. And that journey has been interesting for me. It has had me build different software across fintech, across across blockchain technology as a whole. And more recently, like in the last 3 years, I've been very deep trying to really build AI systems. So before I really move on, I'll just ask a bit of question. How many of us are actively using AI systems? So I'll break us down into like maybe two different parts. If you use AI every day, just say one. If you have built an AI system, right? Okay, if you have like a personal AI agent, answer 1, 2. If you've built an AI system, answer, and you know also have an agent, and then you have also you also use AI, you can do 1, 2, 3. So number one is for you use AI every day only. 2 is for the fact that you have an AI agent or you've set up an AI agent before. 3 is that you've built an AI system. So if you've done all 3, you can do 1, 2, 3. Okay, interesting. Anikan says 1, 2, 3. Gerardo said 1. Onyeka Carlson 1. Donald Blessing 1. Use AI every day. Okay. All right. I think there's only one person that's mentioned that they've also set up a personal AI agent. Okay. All right. Are there still responses that are coming in? Because it's going to help me to really, I want to know my audience better so that I know how best to, not personal, but for a project. Okay. You've not used it personal, okay, but for a project. Okay. All right. I think that is most of it. All right. Okay. So the conversation today is mostly around the theme I was given was use of AI to replace repetitive workflows. I mean, there's nothing else I want to really talk about AI when it comes to workflows that I don't think everybody here does not know about. I mean, if you're using Claude, for instance, Claude is now so good that you can create 20 pages documents, you know, and send it to you, right? That's how efficient these tools and large language models have become. If you use ChatGPT, for instance, you can also see its value, and you also come to learn fast that every single model has a strength. It's almost like every single model has a personality. You can figure out their strength when it comes to content. There are certain models that are better for voice. There are certain models that are better for text. There are certain models that are very good for AI orchestration because they have higher context, right? So the topic I was given is really broad, use of AI to replace repetitive workflows. But I will really start from, based on the responses I've gotten here, I think most people use AI every single day, right? So I want to break my talk into different phases. First of all, I want to bring us into an understanding of what AIs are trying to do, or what, when we say AI, where are we currently? Then I will now go into a bit of a deep dive where I would do like a rundown summary of how current AI systems work. Then I'll talk a bit about the how you can currently use it in your workflow and what the opportunities are. I mean, somebody said recently that AI is not going to replace it's not going to replace that. It's not just AI that will replace people. It will be people who are using AI that will replace those that are not using AI, right? And that fact is it is true in some sense, because if you are given a semi-automatic rifle, right, and it's dismembered, if you give a dismembered gun, right, to two different persons, one has, like, let's say 20 years of experience fighting and actually using guns, and you give it to somebody who has never touched a gun before, like I have never seen, okay, I have never touched a gun before, right? Now imagine you give me the parts of a weapon, and you give that same weapon to an expert, right? And then you give both of us, or let's even say you give two of us a specific part of a gun, or like specific parts of a gun that that we have not both used before, including the expert, and you give two of us AI and say, use this AI to figure out how to fix this gun. It goes without saying, or it goes without a doubt, that the guy who has experience using other types of gun would easily figure out facts, in as much as they'll use AI to guide their process, right? Most of the basics, the rudimentary parts, they will be able to figure it fast. They'll be able to say, oh, this part, I know this part, I know this part, I know this part. Okay, where should this go? That's what they use AI for, right? So it goes for like, without any iota of doubt, that the world that we are evolving into is going to be a world that's going to be a combination of human-led expertise in combination with machine-led augmentation, right? So it's going to be you as an expert learning to work well with AI, right? I remember when Cursor came out newly, it was a thing of shame to let people see that you're using AI to code, right? I would go to a workspace close to where I was living, and I would use Cursor in my workflow. But if somebody's coming to come and check what you're doing, you just do like you're not using Cursor, like, oh, I am not using AI. It was a thing of pride to show or claim that you're not using AI. People were always ashamed to use AI. And I can see somebody laughing, because this was true. If you're a software engineer, people did not want to use AI. Like, you would use AI, but you would not want people to know that you're using AI. Now, currently, before I joined this call, I was on a call with somebody based in Canada, right? And we were trying to build a desktop system that pretty much converts speech to text. So that's actually my first time of actually trying to build text to speech, speech to text in production. And our goal was to achieve near real time. So basically to transcribe it, and then our goal is to be able to help companies in like high ticket industries that are trying to sell, right? Basically, so the AI can have a script and it's following you, it's guiding slides and everything, it's doing a lot of things. So literally, both of us were using Cursor, right? I used ChatGPT to prompt what we're trying to achieve. This is what we're trying to achieve. This is what we're trying to achieve. Should we use VAPI? Should we use DeepGram? Should we use 11 Labs? So we went through all that, and then using my own expertise, right? What I now did was to now go through every single line. Okay, this is what AI is saying. Sometimes ChatGPT will give me an output. I'll tell ChatGPT, no, this does not make sense. I think we should first of all do diarization with this tool and then add a layer to process that later. I just kept prompting like that. Then using my own expert lens, I was able to pick the important points, form that out into a system spec, then move that system spec into Cursor. Now, I and the person that we're trying to work on this stuff together, we're on video call. We are both using ChatGPT. Nobody's ashamed. Like, how are you using AI? In fact, we both sat down together to figure out the best way to prompt, to start the very first prompt, right? So I said, okay, this is how I want to prompt this. He said, okay, why not add this? Why not add this? Why not add this? And so we put the prompt. AI starts working on that. And at first, he was thinking we should push some SDK to the desktop part. And I was like, no, it's better to put it here and stuff like that. We worked on that. The idea at the end of the day is that we are in an era where building is becoming more commoditized, right? But more so, this is the best period to sort of learn from the systems level way of thinking, right? So my understanding is that maybe not everybody here is a software engineer. So I'd at first I asked how much of AI we use. So I want to know what do we do so that I can make this talk more holistic. Just mention your field. Software engineer, just do software engineer. Are you a designer? Are you into writing? What do you do basically? Please just mention it in the in the in the chat. If need be, I might even need to share my screen at some point, but I just wanted to make this okay. Cybersecurity and ethical hacking. Okay. Anybody else? Technical writer. Okay. Technical writer. Graphics designing, software engineer. Okay. Still waiting. Software engineer. Immigration legal writer. Okay. Software engineer. Okay. Menstrual health and wellness professional looking to leverage AI to drive innovation in menstrual health. Okay. Okay. Menstrual health and wellness professional. Okay. All right. That is really interesting. UX designer. Okay. Okay. All right. So whether we like it or not, the utility of AI is like well-rounded so far. And I'm sure whether you're working like in the wellness space, you're a UI designer, you're a UX designer, you're a writer, you're the immigration space, you're a cybersecurity person, you're into ethical hacking, you're a software engineer. One thing remains the same, that every single work that we have all mentioned is driven by one thing. It's a knowledge economy, meaning everything we are doing is about knowing, right? It is very different from being a what's it called? Let me look for something that needs you to do manual. Let's say being a mechanic, for instance. Even being a mechanic, sometimes at scale, at some point, maybe you need to use AI systems. But overall, most of the job opportunities in the 21st century are like the larger portion of it is in the knowledge economy, meaning it's something that you have to use your mind. And that's one of the things that AI has become very, very, very good at, right? Yeah. So with that, we now see that we are reaching a place where if you are not using AI, you are going to be left behind. A major company in Nigeria, I will not mention the name, now checks the performance of most of their workforce based on how much of AI you use. A major, okay, let me not just say major company, just put it. A major technology company in Nigeria has an AI subscription for its employees, right? And they are able to check who is using AI more. So it gives them an idea of who is actually working. Do you get? So now, cost of consumption of tokens is now being used as a way of defining how productive a person is. And I'm not kidding you. It's a company that every single person here knows. Everybody here knows the company, but I don't want to mention the company, right? So that it doesn't sound like maybe I'm just saying something from something I heard inside, but this is for a fact. Everybody's performance, they are now factoring in how much of AI you are using. In fact, everybody in the company has a target, right? That within the first 2 quarters of this year, everybody must write in their report in fact, when you complete a ticket, you will describe, was AI helpful and how did you use it? That is the world that we're in, right? So I'm not even trying to say this was happening outside the world, like we know all that, but this is something that's happening right in front of us, live, real time, right? A major Nigerian tech company, right? Yeah, I don't want to go more because if I mention it again, you will know the company, but it's a company that we all know. And in one way or the other, you've used them. You see them every single day. You hear about them. Yeah. So that's that. So on replacing workflows, right? The idea of workflow is simple. If you're working for a company, the workflow normally starts with a human being. So you have a human being, your company or your boss says we want to achieve this, right? You would generally do a couple of things. You read, you research, you think, right? You like come up with a documentation or you aggregate your information and then you solve the problem, and you do that on repeat. Now with AI in workflows, right? which is like the topic now, trying to just double down on the topic. Using AI now in workflows means that data, the flow starts not with the human being, it starts with data, structuring the data, allowing AI to work, and then action. The AI completes the work, right? So at the end of the day, AI doesn't replace thinking, it replaces the mechanical parts of thinking, right? If you're a software engineer, one thing that you would have observed is how AI would derail. And then when you now call it like, no, we are not supposed to implement the WebSocket like that. I mean, if you use cursor, you will see cursor will tell you, oh, I'm sorry, like you are right. Meaning even AI sometimes can actually make mistakes. And the fact that AI can make mistakes is there's something about AI that we don't understand. People feel like AI works the way the human mind works. The human mind is not just a data machine, right? The human mind has a way of understanding and interpreting information at almost a quantum level, right? Which is what something I was telling somebody, that if quantum computers become real and become usable, we should just know that we are done. But currently, AI still tries to, it uses, it's more of a statistical machine, right? So with large language models, the idea behind large language models, and this is me trying to simplify AI in a nutshell, the idea with large language models is that we carry language, a large corpus of language, like a body of language, let's say English language, right? And then we run them in, let's say, neural nets, or just statistically try to check the correlation of words, basically, right? And so what these machines actually do is that when you give them a question, they look at the sequence of the words. They're not necessarily understanding it from the standpoint of how the human mind understands words, right? They're looking at the statistical correlation of these words with what it's like, and then what this word might be trying to arrive at, right? And then based on that, it then begins to, now it's where you now have the generative AI. It now begins to have like a chain of words where every word, this word comes after this word comes after this word, tries to predict the next token, right? So every single word is then called a token. So in case you've heard of token, is how it's a logical way of understanding a unit of a language, right? So that's how this AI system basically work. When it now comes to the part where the AI systems now try to search, we now found a new way of searching words. Before, we would search words um, based on the similarity of a word. Let's say dog, you check dog and this, is this inside this, you check this and this and stuff like that. But at the moment, we now have semantic search, which uses vectors of words. So we now came to discover that words that are close in meaning or have similar roots are going to have a similar meaning, right? So for instance, um, the word love and loving. Love is a word that's like a token of its own. But if you now do loving, it might not necessarily, or let's just say love, care. They are two different words, but when you break them down to their vectors, they are very close in the space of words. So what this machine did was that it took the language system of mankind and then found out and then created a spatial space where you can see the relationships between words, where the closest words mean they have close meanings, right? And so this is how these systems basically work. So AI at the moment is still a statistical system, right? Now, agents, AI agents, AI agents, AI agents. Where does the AI agent now come in? We now discovered that if we can use this AI, that if AI can actually understand text to a great extent, that means we can use it to orchestrate tools, right? Write this, because if you are an engineer too, we have basic tools that we use to do almost every engineering operation. Maybe you've heard the word CRUD before. You've heard it can create, it can update, it can delete, it can, read, and so on and so forth. So we now added tools to AI, meaning AI can understand what's an endpoint. Oh, sorry, let me not sound too technical. Let me be more general. AI can understand what a tool is supposed to do, like a button, and click a button. So it's not really it's not one big deal. It's just like, oh, the same systems that exist, we're now trying to add more resources to these systems to now be able to do different things for us, right? And why it is important that we know this is because we are getting into a world where you are not now just competing against people. You are competing against people who can outsmart you or beat you at your work just because they're using AI tools. Because at this point, like I said, in the early days, there used to be a shame in using AI. It used to be embarrassing to use AI. Right now, some job roles would explicitly say you must be competent at using AI. I'll give you another example. So a friend of mine runs an agency. It's a marketing and sales agency. Basically, they help companies to write contents. I think someone mentioned that they're a technical writer. So they did an application to hire people in Nigeria. You know, they did interviews and everything. They hired very smart people to come and write articles for them. Now, you would think because AI exists, writing as a job is dead. But have you tried asking AI to write for you? Yeah, if you ask AI to write for you, you just see it lacks the humanity in the writing. It does not understand the business context or your goal as much. Even when you prompt it, sometimes it treats what you are giving it as a quantitative data. It doesn't see it as a qualitative thing, right? It doesn't understand what kind of feeling am I trying to evoke from somebody that's reading this. What kind of what does my company want to achieve with this? It does not really understand as much context as you that knows, okay, this is where our company is at, and then this is where we want to be. So sometimes you give it and then I'll be reading and be like, what the hell is this thing doing? So anyway, let me just go back to the example I was giving. So this company hires some writers from across the country. They are happy, they negotiate salaries. They decided to pay them well, at least in Nigerian equivalent of salaries. They were being well paid. So on this specific day, because the company does writing for different companies, global companies, but it's based in Nigeria. So they get a request from one of the clients. Oh, I made an article for this, and this. So simple. They take the request. In fact, the AI. So as I'm explaining all these examples, I'll be telling you how AI is using their workflow. So for their AI workflow, they use Notion, right? So to use Notion, they turn on Notion. The AI listened to the meeting, understood what the client wanted, and created the meeting summary. When they got the meeting summary, they asked AI, okay, based on this, what should be the task? AI broke it down to a list of tasks. So now, based on that task, they told the lady that's supposed to help them in writing, okay, please come and help. This is what you need to do. We need this article ready by tomorrow, right? Sounds simple. She took it, put it inside ChatGPT, sent it back as a doc. The MD of the company looked at it and was like, this is not really good. Can you improve this? Make it sound like the clients, because they've been writing for each client for like some months, so they have a backlog of writing. So they call that their context, right, for writing. So basically, every single new article that they write has to sound like that organization, right? So they told the lady, use this prompt. Like, you are allowed to use AI. We're not saying you should not use AI. Use AI. Nobody's saying you should not use AI again. Use AI. But right, she did it again, sent a second draft. They were like, this is not satisfactory. This is too basic. She sent it again. You know what? One of the other guys that is into their sales part just decided to, you know what? The other co-founder said, you know what? Did not answer. He just took the task, went into Claude, prompted it, told Claude, for this part, I want this to be a table. No, this is wrong. Let's use this data. By the time he had prompted Claude like 10, 12 times, he had like a 2,500 word essay that was perfectly structured. Then he moved it from Markdown into a document and dropped the link quietly. Did not say anything. The MD comes some hours later, clicks on the link, sees the work and said, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Perfect. Do you know what? The lady who was asked to write and kept changing for almost 3 4 times sent in her resignation the next day. They did not ask her, oh, resign or everything. She was not ready to even learn or use AI. So when people say AI is taking jobs, AI is doing this, you need to ask yourself, how good am I with AI? If I as somebody in my field were competing and we're both using AI, would I be able to compete with them? That's it. So when it comes to our workflow, we have to first of all identify. Every human being now must identify a couple of things, which I'm going to mention. If you want to use AI to improve your workflow daily, the first thing you have to identify is, how do you manage knowledge? When I first started as a software engineer, one of the things I used to really struggle with was knowledge, right? I used to really struggle. How do I felt like I should know everything about software engineering. In fact, if I'm coding a new feature, I'll code it, then I'll delete it. I'll repeat it like 10 times so that for loop, if statement, all these conditional statements are at the back of my hand. That's how I learned software engineering, repetition. I'll do it several times until it sticks. But as I began to evolve more in software engineering, I had a friend of mine. This is how I learned about knowledge management. Please write this down, right? If you want to use AI more in your workflow to improve repetitive tasks, the first thing you must learn that will help you as a human being, where the world is going to and how you have to be ahead, is you must learn to build first of all, you must learn knowledge management, right? So I'll give you us another example. I have this friend who, I used to call him like one of the best infra engineer in the world, like just a close friend of mine. So some years back, I needed to do something for a fintech startup that was based somewhere in Africa, right? And the way I wanted to structure the cloud infrastructure, I wanted somebody that has very deep experience, first of all, before just this diving in. So I called him. I was like, guy, I'm lost. I'm confused with this. What do I do? What do I do? And he just told me, oh, I should give him a second, that he has a GitHub repository where he has. So basically what he did was that he has a GitHub repo where everything that he knows about his work, he has structured it properly. That was the day I said, oh, I don't have something like this. So if I work on a project and I have a bug that I struggled with for 2-3 days, and then I finally resolve the bug, right? I don't have a place where I manage that knowledge, where I document it for myself. Because sometimes if you struggle to solve a problem and then it's nowhere on the internet and you finally solve it, that is likely going to be a problem that AI will still struggle with. So basically, this guy had a GitHub repo where every single major infra project he did, there are some places he was managing them. I was like, wow. My mind was blown. I was like, why have I never thought about how to manage my knowledge? That was when I started to create GitHub repositories. Of course, in case you're not a technical person, a GitHub repo is like just a place where software engineers store code. So for you, it could be a Google Docs. You can create a Google Docs with multiple tabs where each task you are given, every complex problem, how you think through it, the solution that was the best, you can store and manage it. If you're in cybersecurity, you can have a Google Docs where you store complex issues, outages at work. How did people resolve it? You need to write. So you must learn knowledge management. That's number one. You must learn knowledge management because that's going to be one of the advantages you will have. So when you go against somebody that's using, two of you are using AI, your knowledge management systems is going to determine how best you can utilize AI because you have a backlog. Now, there's something that if you're using an AI agent, there's something we call memory or just context, meaning AI needs to have a lot of information available in order to be able to help you or make proper decisions, right? So using that as if AI can be using documentation to have context, how much more you as a human being? So number one, if you wrote it down, you must learn knowledge management. That's number one. And if you're using AI agent is all about knowledge management. Your personal AI agent will need to have access to things that you know, things that makes your work unique to you, right? And stuff like that. So you must learn how to manage knowledge. Secondly, the other thing is once you've learned how to manage your knowledge, right, you must learn how to access that knowledge. So how do you access the knowledge that you are creating? So in fact, everything is still under the same knowledge management, accumulating the knowledge, structuring what you know, and then what's it called? And then being able to access it when you need it, basically, right? Is what is very important for knowledge management. The second thing is figuring out which tools are best suited for the kind of work you do, right? There's an agent. Recently, I started building sort of an AI agent, right? And it's called Lemon Support. So basically, it is operations focused. And what it does is it helps companies that are very operations heavy to do some of their tasks. Let me just paste the link here. So it helps businesses that are very operations heavy. So if you have a business where you have real estate businesses, you have any kind of business that has different operations. Maybe you have drivers, you have salespeople, you have customer support, you have customers that are coming regularly, and you want to track sales, you want to track what is happening, you want to track maintenance and everything. It works very efficiently. And one of the things that we discovered was that in companies that wanted to use the AI within their operations, because we have an AI agent that can do most of your operation tasks within the app itself. You can ask an AI to create a form for it to collect data from users and it to create a new form within 30 seconds. And you can ask AI to create a new database for you to collect a specific type of data. AI is going to create it. You can ask AI to, like write documents, schedule meetings, and so on and so forth. AI can do all that through Lemon Support. And one of the things that I learned fast was that in organizations where AI was very, very efficient or where their AI was more accurate, it was more of a context problem, which still goes back to knowledge management. Organizations that were able to provide more about themselves, provide information, share every data about themselves, their AIs were more accurate compared to organizations that were just treating AI like as a random stuff. So just like you as a human being, the difference between you and an expert is that the expert has a backlog of knowledge that you don't have. So back to knowledge management. If as a human being now, think of yourself as if you are some form of an AI agent. You have to manage your knowledge. So what tools can you use to manage knowledge? For me, sometimes I use an Obsidian to manage knowledge. Other times I use Google Docs. But for things that are technical, I have like every problem I've faced trying to use Postgres. Every problem I've faced trying to build any software, I have a GitHub repo where I structured everything, the problem, how I resolved it, what was the issue, shortcuts, everything. So if I give that to my AI agent and I start working, you that does not have that, your AI will be struggling with information on Google. Meanwhile, mine will just know everything I've already done before, and it's going to be pretty fast. It's going to understand my taste. It's going to understand how I like to structure my applications. He knows how best I like to structure files. For some persons, it could be just using Google Docs. For some persons, using a tool like Obsidian. For others, is Notion. Notion is a very great tool too. I have somebody that's running her entire business out of Notion. Notion even has an AI tool inside. So if you are someone that is more of a writer, or you're into customer support, or you do things that has to do with heavy documentation, you should definitely check out Notion. Okay, someone say, yeah, Team Notion. So Notion is also another awesome tool for knowledge management. When it comes to AI agents, I'm sure we've heard of OpenClaw recently. Some persons are like, oh, OpenClaw, what is really OpenClaw? So OpenClaw was this tool that someone built that was open source that could allow you to spin up an AI agent on your computer. So I've talked a bit about large language models. I've talked a bit about how AI work. I've talked a bit about AI agents, right? How that AI agents are it's like using AI, but now the AI now has tools that allows it to do something. It's like AI is the brain, but by the time you give it hands and legs and eyes to see, yeah, it becomes an agent, meaning it can do something on your behalf. There are people that are trying to build AI agent that can spend. So like last year, there was a protocol that was created. X402, where AI can actually make payments over HTTP, for instance. There are people that are trying to build decentralized AI like Bitten. So I was on a call today with a company in Nigeria where they're trying to build decentralized AI, meaning AI that can run on like different computers, on your computer or your friend's computer, and so on and so forth. So I've come to the conclusion that in order for you to create your own personal workflow that's very efficient with AI, you have to start from knowledge management. So you can use all those tools. You can even research more tools. There are more tools for knowledge management, because everything that makes you different in how you do your work is in how you manage what you know about your work. So if you've never been actively managing knowledge and everything you know about your work, then sorry for you, because then you're not very different from every other thing. So I'm sure that today we are going to start doing that. Let me check my notes if there was something else I wrote. Of course, some persons use AI to write emails, tasks, personal assistants. That's normal. So finally, before I conclude from everything I've been saying. AI systems, how to think about AI systems. AI systems are generally structured into parts. Yeah. So just before I conclude, AI systems can be structured into four parts. The data layer. So if you heard when I was talking about knowledge management, you should start from there. So even when you're using your own AI to make your AI system personalized to you, you know, if you are a Christian, I am a Christian myself, and then you've heard of the word, or if you are a believer in God generally too, you hear a word like omnipresence, right? Omnipresence is the idea that God can be everywhere, right? And the closest version of that with AI agent would be the fact that your AI agents can do work when you are not there. You know, when we used to be younger, we would say something like, I wish I could divide myself into two. Now you have the huge opportunity to divide yourself into two. I mean, you can do 2-3 days of work in one day if you know how to use these tools, and you'll be far ahead of every single person. But how can you make your AI feel like you? Because since God is everywhere God is God, right? He can't be God somewhere, and then when you go to somewhere, he is still there, but it's not really him, right? So it's almost the same thing. It is your knowledge management system that's going to allow you to be able to personalize an AI to feel like you and sound like your voice. So AI starts with the data layer. So that data layer of the AI system has to work with your own tool for the AI to have context about you. AI has a memory layer, meaning all the information, all the things that you are doing, which is your knowledge management system, which is like a history of your knowledge, what you know, right? That might not even be public. AI also depends on that. Yeah, then you have the reasoning layer, which is where the real AI work is done, the large language model. Then you have the execution layer. The execution layer is where you have the APIs and the workflows that allows AI to actually do the action, right? The hands and leg. So if you have a human being without a brain, that's a corpse, right? If you have a brain without the body, then you just have intelligence that don't do anything, right? It's aware of itself, but it can't do anything. So that is it basically. So where are we going? We are moving from a world where we are going to have human beings that are enabled. So if you can use AI systems and you are very proactive, you will be ahead. We are moving to a world of agency. What does agency mean? Agency means you can do work without being told. I used to really wonder, some persons cannot work except they're being told. So now even with AI, and it's what people feel. If you're a high agency person, you feel that everybody, because of AI, they can do. But when you really check, some persons really do not have the will to be active, to work like you, to prove themselves. So just imagine if you have just a little bit of willpower, and you are willing to work, you are willing to get ahead, you are willing to push, you are willing to get better, you are going to be better than the average person by quantum leaps, right? So AI is here to augment people who are ready to learn, and so on and so forth. So that is just basically it. I didn't want to mention specific tools. I didn't want to start going into different this and this and that. I just wanted to really focus on how we as a human being, as human beings, as people, can start structuring our lives so that we can use different tools regardless of what they are. Like I use so many AI tools. I use Cursor for coding. I use ChatGPT to structure my thinking. Like when I'm trying to think about the concept, I use ChatGPT to structure it. Sometimes I use Claude to structure it, but I use Cursor mostly for writing code. What else again? Which other AI tool do I use? I use I use then there are other tools that are like infra type tools if you're trying to build something. So if you're trying to build like an AI agent system, you can use things like LangGraph. That helps you to structure how you are retrieving, how you are using different models. If you are trying to use open models where you don't want to spin on API, there are a lot of open models. Different models have their strength. You have models that are good at imaging. They have models that are good at text. If you're also trying to get local models to run on local devices, you have different like Whisper and so on and so forth. If you want to use AI to build simple websites, I mean, there are a lot of tools. Vue, there's one called Lovable. There's Bolt.dev. I think I've used Bolt. I have not used Vue, but I saw someone walked up to me yesterday and showed me a website he had built using AI. I was so proud. I was like, this is actually cool. So that is mostly it. So I just wanted to make this very, very general because I found out that a lot of persons are here with varying backgrounds. And yeah, so maybe I'll just leave the room open for questions so that I can like specifically pick up any topic. Before I even conclude, before I jump into the question and answer this session, um, personally, I've used AI so much and it has helped me in my general workflow from building Lemon support to building CoolerWise. I'm also working with a team where we are building AI for health, basically. So I think someone mentioned AI for health, and let me put the link to in the chat. It's called CoolerWise. It's from the Swahili word kula, which means to eat, basically. So the idea behind CoolerWise is that we are pretty much allowing people to build their own health knowledge on the application, from gym check-ins to what you are eating to how your like distances you're walking, health metrics generally. Then these health metrics you can then use it to access better health finance opportunities. Because right now, if you are from Africa, health finance or health financing, which is like health insurance and the rest, is very, very poor. Like if you want to get new health insurance, they just ask you what's your age, right? There's no metric, there's no way to really know how to price insurance, because if you live very healthy, then you should pay very less for health insurance, because the likelihood of you being sick is lower, right? And insurance companies will be excited to give you a discount, but currently there's no way to price risk. And so that's part of what we're trying to build with AI, starting with how people live day to day and how they choose to stay healthy. And then I also run an IT consulting company too called 1024. So that is just a bit of how we've been exploring AI. And thank you very much. And looking forward to any questions you might have to ask. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Incredible. Peter is a great guy. Please put your hands together for Peter, Engineer Peter. Put your hands together. Wow. Incredible guy. You know the way Trump would say, Elon is a great guy. You know, Peter is a great guy. And you don't want to have, you could imagine with the whole caution not to go into tech stuff, and then there is still this, you could still perceive the fragrance of someone who is drenched in tech. And then you could imagine when we now have a tech conversation, when it's now with engineers, like, you know, I'm seeing some of them on the call, and I don't want to drag them. A lot of them, they're on the call, some chief guys in tech. They're just there quietly. They're assuming that they are students, but I will just pretend that I didn't also see them. Once again, thank you very much, Engineer Peter. So we're going to take a few questions. I think someone mentioned something around health. The call is usually spanned for an hour, and then thank you very much for that time management. So if you have a question, please raise your hand so that we could give you numbers. I think Daniel raised his hand. Who else has a question? Please ask a question. He was quite a bit mindful not to. So if you have a question now, you can now put you into context. Yeah. Okay, Daniel, you have a question. Okay, let's take your own first, Daniel, before we hear from Peculiar. Daniel, go ahead. Hi, Daniel. Can you hear us? Please go ahead. Okay, I think that's a mistake. So, Pekula, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Engineer Peter, for a very informative session. I wait. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, sure, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So you mentioned that AI systems are like basically or generally structured into 4 parts, but then I think I only understood the data layer part, which is the knowledge management part, and then the execution layer. I was hoping you could talk a bit more about the other 2 layers because I really don't know what they are and like what they entail basically. So yeah, that's my question.
All right. Thank you very much for the question. Sorry, I didn't see who asked the question. Sorry.
That's peculiar.
Okay, peculiar. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let me just paste it because I have a brief write-up. This is um let me just paste it here. So of course, like this is how AI systems generally are structured. You have 4 layers. You have the data layer, right? You have the memory layer, you have the model slash AI layer, which is, are you using open AI, are you using Claude from Anthropic, are you using this in Google's Gemini, right? You can use different models, and then you have the execution layer. So you said you understand the first and the last. So the middle layer is the memory layer is more like, how do you, okay, now if I ask you what was the best part of your life in primary school, right? Your mind begins to retrieve, it goes into retrieval mode, right? So, yes, you have knowledge, which is the step one, right? The step two is, how do you access that knowledge, right? How do you, because who you are now is built on who you have always been, or who you were at age one, you became the new person at age two, you have been evolving into who you currently are. So same thing to your AI agent or your AI system is supposed to get better as it keeps accumulating knowledge, right? As it keeps, getting better, as it keeps adding, as you keep adding your knowledge systems and everything. So that's what the memory layer is all about. The embeddings is how we help AI to be able to retrieve information faster, because as that becomes very big, because the human mind does not work like text. Like if I ask you about your experience in your primary one, it tries to just push, you go immediately to everything that's relevant in your primary one. You have to retrieve it really fast. So embeddings is how we break down knowledge and information into a way that AI can easily search, retrieve using maybe vectors, for instance. The model layer is the reasoning layer because, like I told, I'm sure you've heard of the word models. Every single model is where the actual reasoning is happening. So when you combine the reasoning layer plus your data layer, you build a memory layer, and then you have an execution layer, then you have an agentic system generally. So when you talk about that AI system that is like agentic, it must have these 4 different things basically. So that's it.
All right, thank you. Pekula, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you so much.
All right, cool, thank you. Annie, can go ahead, please.
Hey, Engineer Peter, thank you so much for such mini session. And I think my question is more specific. I've encountered this challenge lately, and I'm thinking since we're talking about it, I feel like you have the solution to it. So, say I mostly use AI for the knowledge base tool you talk about, where you can compile the work that you've done over time, and it works like a journal for you. But the usual experience is, so I want to sometimes I try to want to take the information I needed from a particular timeline, and um, it seems like the AI has forgotten. So I don't know if I'm the only one that experiences that kind of issue, and how do I work around that?
Okay, so when you say you build, like you try to build your own knowledge base using these AI tools, first of all, what tools are you using and how do you structure that? Because like with ChatGPT, for instance, it has memory, right? And regardless of your chat history, I think for some paid versions of ChatGPT, it tries to extract the bits from previous conversations. But what it does is that it stores summaries that are relevant inside memory. So sometimes if you start a new conversation, it looks at memory. It doesn't necessarily look at previous chats. So I don't know, like, are you talking about like a system that agentic, or you're talking about one of these platforms?
Yeah, so I know that I have experienced that challenge with ChatGPT. So it's the same thing that you said. The memory is focused on a particular thing, and I need an information from somewhere else that is not focused on. So what I do sometimes is I have to go back to Notion and check, oh, this is what I did, because I like document on Notion. So
Yeah.
I build with ChatGPT, I structure with ChatGPT, and I document on Notion. So when I'm going back to ChatGPT and I'm like, here, we built this, we need an
Yeah.
information about this and that. It's easy with its memory.
Yeah. So which is one of the problems that most AI systems like are really trying to solve. I think there's this video I think everybody should watch. It was a video by Sequoia Capital. So Sequoia Capital did a video where they are like the biggest problems in AI that they are funding. And memory was one of those problems. But regardless, for me, how I sort of use memory, like within ChatGPT, if you want ChatGPT to remember something, have you ever typed it and say, remember this? Have you ever told ChatGPT, forget about previous information about this and remember this instead? Have you used that command? So if anybody's on the call, you've never used that command, try it. Just open your ChatGPT. If you're having a conversation, tell it, remember this. And one of the things you see it does is that it just tell you memory updated. Because basically, if you look at these tools, basically, what makes AI grounded is context. I mean, that is one of the subject of my MSc. My MSc was focused, or is focused, or was my research work as a whole was focused around contexts for AI systems, basically. So I spend a lot of time trying to think about how to help AI systems to be able to really understand or have more broader context as a whole. So I think that is one of the issues. So it's more of an application issue, and I think a lot of people are trying to build things around it. There's something, yeah, context engineering. There's another thing too around context. Google did publish a new research last month. I think we should go and look at it. So basically, some of the reasons why AI system, because knowledge becomes so big, is because we have to find a way to compress this in knowledge. So they came up with a new way of quantizing knowledge, which is you can quantize models. Models can be smaller, and if models can also be smaller, that means you can actually compress knowledge to be smaller and then still make it meaningful. So there's a lot of research around that. So you can also check that out. But currently, most of the problem, like what you said, is just on the applications layer. But I've learned to actively, if I want AI, like on ChatGPT, if I want it to remember something, I can tell it, remember this conversation. It will summarize the conversation and it will update your memory. Yeah. Sometimes I even go into memory and delete things I don't want it to remember again, because it might remember something so much that keeps affecting new conversations. Right. So that's it.
All right, great. Thank you very much. We have one more person. Sorry, everyone. The call is supposed to be marked for an hour. I think we'll just take that one more question so we could round up for today. Thank you. So go ahead, Benjamin. Is that Paul?
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for the session. I really like the way you broke everything down. It was a really nice session. Yeah, so my question is for a software developer, right? So I'm happy that I said that you are one. So I want to know, like, how do you structure your workflow? What should you use? You mentioned you use Cursor. So, but I think that there's some I can still have a workflow inside Cursor. So I want like you to like elaborate more on like I say like your day-to-day workflow, like when you have it, maybe like you want to add a new feature to your an existing app, or want to like start a new project. This is not like just building just website, like it's like an enterprise, like as if you have written an enterprise app, or you have a project that you've been maintaining for years, but you want to like bring AI to it. So can you try to explain your workflow, how you do it, the thing you do, so just to make your work faster? Thank you.
Right now, like with the fact that everybody's competing with AI, sharing things like this is more like sharing your industry secret, like sharing your secret sauce. Yeah, but okay, yeah, for the sake of our conversation, I'll break down my flow with working with AI. So I'm going to use an example today. So basically, like I said, this company reached out to me. They want to build a system, and I said, okay, I was interested in what they were trying to solve because it's not something I've done before. It's mostly about voice AI, which is real-time speech to text. It needs to be able to diarize what each of us is doing. We need to figure out how best to go about it. So I don't first of all go upon Koso. I mean, and just a disclaimer for someone that has used AI to solve very complex problem, I can tell you, I don't even have fear of AI taking anybody's job. I don't have, because the kind of problems that may have solved are so wicked that even if you are using, two of us are using AI, like if you don't know what you are doing, you would still mess up. So basically, my flow, I go with I write a summary of what I want to achieve. I structure it. Okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I carry that information. I dump it into ChatGPT, or let's say Claude, for instance. Then I begin to prompt, it's more like having a kind of conversation, which is the goal of the conversation is to understand more about the problem and the solution I was thinking. But I start first of all by breaking down a list of what I want to do, structuring it out, and then I begin to prompt. Okay, this is what I want to do. Okay, so these are the entities I need. These are the relationships I need. Okay, what I would want to do this. These are the tools I want to use. But I open it up. Then in the midst of the conversation, I begin to fine tune. Okay, the model would respond, okay, oh, this is better to do like this. Okay, how do we reduce latency in this area? How do we reduce this? Sometimes I would also correct the AI model. Okay, it will say, let's add this layer. So if you add this layer, we might increase the latency for the user here. How about we do this and then wait to do this later? The AI, oh, you are right. So it will be like a conversation. At the end of the conversation, I'll ask you to structure a summary based on what we've come for. And then I can now take that summary to like maybe a tool, like let's say maybe Obsidian or wherever I write my stuff. Then I'll read it again, structure it better, add my own nuance, and then I copy that summary or that breakdown. I go to Cursor, and on Cursor, I begin my prompt. I explain what I want to achieve, and then I say, this is the context. I paste everything that I've come up with. So at that point, Cursor understands what I want to achieve. I've broken down the list, the flow, everything I want to do, and then it starts. So that's how I sort of do my work. So yeah, on ChatGPT, yeah, I have a paid version. So if you're using a paid version of ChatGPT or a paid version of Claude, you can use any of them. Structure the whole thing, then write it out, expand it, and then before you take it to Cursor. So like this, Cursor is the last thing. I use it to start my implementation. I don't use it to think, basically. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Please can we appreciate Peter? Thank you, Engineer Peter. Thank you very much. Please, I appreciate him. I think while we're discussing, there was this mention of context, but then maybe some other time. But once again, thank you very much for accepting our invite to speak with us. And on the call, I could see there's no time. I would have said we should just quickly do an introduction. I could see some chief in tech, so that if I start calling him now and I'll miss some people's name, but I can see them. Thank you very much for joining us, our tech chiefs in the house. From wherever you are joining from across the globe, thank you very much for joining us. And then from the Thinkficial team too, thank you for joining us. And also on behalf of the host, I'm not supposed to be hosting. The host is not available, so I had to stand in. So before I allow the manager to appreciate everyone, we usually have these calls every last Saturday of the month by 7 p.m. We have interesting topics, and today's call also is being recorded. It will be available on our YouTube channel in case you want to listen to it again, and then you just have one or two you want to draw from it, and then it will be available once it is being edited and uploaded. So subsequent, we had some records last day that were able to upload, and some have been edited. So you want to stay in touch on our social media handles I shared on the chat box every last Saturday of the month. You just stay on our social page. You see the events, and we're likely going to talk about something called networking in the next month. Networking around both. Now that we're not having AI systems, we have people and all of that. So how do we put these things together, from whether you are in health, you're in business, whatever you are doing. How do we now network these things? Because at the end of the day, like you said, we're now going into things like context. And then if you want to do context, how do we now bring things together so that we can be able to link them together? So you want to stay on our pages so that when we have the next call scheduled, you'll be able to join on time. For now, the call is free. It's absolutely free. And then we're looking at reaching other people. I could see them on the call. And then once I enter your DM, you just please give me your audience for a while. And then if you want to have a personal conversation with the team, like you could see one of our speakers, we also have people who train. If you want to take a course, we have a Microsoft certified data analyst who take data analysis. We have people who are in cybersecurity who have taken a couple of exams. So if you want to learn anything in tech, you can actually reach out. So every speaker that we bring in, they are seasoned people. So I'll hand over to the manager to appreciate everyone so that we could go for the day. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Raphael. Thank you, Engineer Peter, for that wonderful exposition. Thank you, everyone, for joining this call. I believe you've gotten one or two information, and we've always encouraged people. It's not about the hearing; it's more about the implementation and practice. We hope to see you give testament of how this knowledge have actually impacted in your workflow. So we just thank you very much, and we hope to see you again next month for another call. And Engineer Peter, maybe you open your doors for subsequent invitation. Thank you very much, and have a very blessed evening.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, I am Engineer Augustine Umeliu.
All right, thank you, everyone. Until next time, bye. You have the phone number is on the chat box if you want to reach out to us for any more information. And then you can also reach out if you have a topic or something you want to talk about. We'll be able to get in touch. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend ahead. Bye.